It didn't drift in with fog. It didn't wash ashore. It announced itself with a message that still chills the blood. All officers, including the captain, are dead, lying in chart room and bridge, possibly whole crew dead. A brief pause. Then, 2 final words. I die. No name, no location, just a ghostly Morse code call echoing across the Strait of Malacca in 1947. And when rescuers finally reached the ship that sent it, they found something that defied logic, science, and sanity. What happened aboard the SS Ourang Medan? And why did it explode just minutes after being discovered? This isn't just a ghost story. It's a real maritime riddle, wrapped in conspiracy, shadowed by science, and laced with something far stranger. Let's start with the name. SS Ourang Medan. A Dutch freighter. Name translates to Man from Medan. Yet strangely, it doesn't appear in any official maritime records. Not Lloyd's Register, not naval archives, not insurance manifests, nothing. But here's the twist. Multiple ships recorded the SOS in their logs. American intelligence files mention it, and a 1952 U.S. Coast Guard report discusses it in chilling detail. So how can a ship be real enough to call for help and vanish from every historical record? The American merchant ship Silver Star was the first to respond to the distress call. They tracked the coordinates, braved the sweltering tropical heat, and finally spotted her. The Ourang Medan. Adrift, no movement, no reply to hails, not even a flag raised. The Silver Star's boarding party climbed aboard, and what they found would never leave them. The ship was silent. The crew was dead. And every body looked like it had died in absolute terror. Mouths wide open, eyes frozen in horror, arms reaching toward unseen threats. Even the ship's dog was found with its teeth bared mid-snarl. There were no signs of violence, no wounds, no blood. Just an overwhelming, unnatural fear etched into flesh. As they descended below deck, the Silver Star crew made another bizarre discovery. Despite the tropical climate, the engine room was freezing, reportedly around 4 degrees Celsius, 40 degrees Fahrenheit. That's not just unusual. It's scientifically improbable on a steel-hulled ship absorbing equatorial heat. The dead were decomposing faster than normal, and yet preserved by the cold. The radio operator who had sent the final "I die" message found still clutching the telegraph key. This wasn't a normal death at sea. This was a floating crime scene that made no sense. Silver Star's crew decided to tow the ship back to port. They secured lines, double-checked everything. Then, smoke. It poured from the cargo hold. The Silver Star severed the tow ropes and scrambled back. Moments later, the Ourang Medan exploded. Not just fire, but a blast so intense that it lifted the ship out of the water before breaking it apart and dragging it under. No trace was ever found again. One of the most grounded theories? The ship was smuggling illegal chemical weapons. Some researchers suggest a mix of potassium cyanide and nitroglycerin stored improperly. Cyanide would cause swift death. Nitroglycerin, if exposed to seawater or unstable temperature, could explain the explosion. But there are problems. Cyanide victims don't die in terror. They collapse. The rescuers weren't affected by lingering fumes. And the chilling expressions? Not consistent with gas exposure. So if not chemicals, what else could cause such paralyzing fear? Enter the theory involving tabun, a nerve agent developed by Nazi Germany. After World War II, covert chemical transfers were known to happen, especially in Asia-Pacific trade routes. If the Ourang Medan was carrying tabun, or something worse, it could explain the locked muscles, the frozen expressions, and the rapid dispersal before rescuers arrived. But why was the ship's existence erased? Some suggest the Ourang Medan was renamed mid-journey to mask its identity, possibly under government contract, possibly a covert op gone wrong. And if that's true, someone made sure no one would ever find out. Of course, there's one theory that refuses to die: that something not of this world was aboard the Ourang Medan. Some link it to the Philadelphia experiment, a rumored Navy operation involving teleportation and cloaking. Could this have been a continuation? Others believe the ship passed through an interdimensional rift, encountered an entity, or even became haunted during a failed experiment. The contorted faces, the unnatural cold, the sudden explosion after discovery. To believers, this wasn't chemical, it was cosmic. Skeptics insist it's just a myth, a seafarer's tale twisted over time. But several facts make that hard to accept. The SOS was received by multiple vessels and stations. The Silver Star crew logged the incident. A U.S. Coast Guard article from 1952 confirms the basics of the story. In 1953, German author Otto Mielke claimed the ship was real and that it was intentionally erased from records because of its cargo. If true, that would explain the vanishing ship registry, the lack of manifest, and the complete absence of any surviving photos. So what really happened aboard the SS Ourang Medan? A silent killer in the cargo hold? A top-secret operation lost to history? Or something ancient, watching from the deep? We may never know. The sea buries its secrets well, and this one, whatever it was, left behind only a whisper carried across the waves in Morse code. I die. Maybe the message wasn't just a log of a final moment. Maybe it was a warning. Because when something that terrifying happens on open water, it doesn't just disappear, it waits. It